Good morning, it's March 8th. It is Friday, 2019. My name's Andy with Mountain Computers, and I've had 2-3 days off. I've been programming on this game called Mystery Chess. It's a mystery. It's client server. It's pretty cool, but that's why I've been away for so long. I've been spending 6-7 hours a day after work working on that, and I haven't had a chance to take care of some knowledge sharing with you, but this is a great day. I am going to go over the books that I shared before, but I'm going to actually pull some content from each one of those and talk to you about them. So I've written 4 books now, or 5. Published those through KDP Select. Some of them are good, some of them are so okay. But the first one, the biggest one, was this one. It was called The Appellant by Milagros Ray Ray. It's Mila's story. This book is based on a true story about a lady who was wrongfully accused of some things, and it's a great story. It's a legal medical drama. Went all the way to the Supreme Court, like anything, and got not looked at because of the way the Supreme Court works, but unfortunately, hopefully that'll change in time. But the second book that I ended up writing is called What's My Value Add? Now, I've been wanting to write this for probably 20 years, maybe 30. But it's a composition of how I see life, from beginning to end and everything in the middle. And I'll pull from that. So anyhow, data science by Andy. So everybody has a different idea what data science is. And for me, I've been crunching data as an analyst, a pseudo-analyst. Technically, I'm a technologist, but like anything, being a leader and a technologist and a farm boy from Oregon, it's amazing what our world offers us today, what it didn't offer us 100 years ago. But of course, the people back then 100 years ago thought the car was the generation of, like, oh my goodness, like, you're talking about, 1919 versus 2019. So, and then the last book that I just released was How to Tame Your PC and Data. I don't have a hard copy here, but it's similar to these. Not too thick, not too thin, but I wanted to go over each one of those. So feedback, I got some feedback the other day, and the feedback was pretty good. One lady said, her name's Jan, she's a real nice lady. She said my videos are too long. She also said my green screen is ugly. I think that's great. I'm leaving the green screen in there mainly because of 2 things. One, so I can add sponsors before it and even go back to my other footage and add sponsors easily with green screen technology. And number 2, my Go Green PC tune-up is all about the green. And it just so happens that this green screen that I bought, and I think it was through Walmart online, but the vendor, can't remember who they were, but it's the same color as the background for my software and the logo. So that's sort of coincidence, but it's also a great thing. So before I go any further, I'm going to do a shout out to a couple people on YouTube. One is Tech Lead. The Tech Lead guy is hilarious. He's over in the Google world where I'm over in the Microsoft world. He did his Google thing as a software engineer or whatever. I did my Microsoft thing as a technical manager and systems programmer and administrator and product support guy. We both, it's ironic that our information that we're sharing, and I don't look at his stuff, I just happen to find it. It's like when I created Reno for sale and regional for sale, I didn't know about Craigslist. Well, of course I didn't know about Tech Lead either. But then when I started posting my videos, I saw this guy, because probably YouTube said, oh, you guys have similar content and we'll put you side by side. Well, I don't want to compete with this guy, the Tech Lead guy. I think his name's Patrick. He's a cool guy. He's funny. Funnier than me, just in a different way. It's like comedians, You can't, George Carlin versus Chris Rock. You have 2 comedians. Wanda Sykes. You just have all sorts of flavors, which is great. So, this is Friday, so relax. It's casual. I got a cup of coffee. That's good. But anyhow, shout out to him. Also another person, I like to watch planes. So I watch the FAA, ATC, listen to ATC radio. They're on our website at Go Green PC Tune-Up, and as well as Mountain Computers, right in the footer. There's a bunch of links for the things that I passionately love. So anyhow, go there, mountaincomputers.org, or go to gogreenpctuneup.com. Why do we have a .org on Mountain Computers? Because the .com was taken and it's too expensive to buy. So it doesn't matter. We are not a nonprofit. People ask us that all the time. No, we are definitely for profit, but we're very fair on our pricing. So, shameless plug by me. So back to the task at hand. It's about 7:30. I got to get this done before 8 o'clock, so that fits everything, about 30 minutes. So, which do you guys want me to do first? This book? This book? This book? Or just the table of contents from How to Tame Your PC and Data? I'm going to do How to Tame Your PC and Data. Now, I'm just going to read the table of contents. Okay. So A is for assemble or assembly. B is for binary. C is for CPU. D is for delta. E is for echo. F is for 4. G is for graphics. H is for hex. I is for I/O. So I was going through the alphabet, A to Z, which I normally do in my head when I'm looking for something. I just go alphabetically. I go A, B, C, D. If I'm trying to remember a person's name, a business name, a location, it's a good trick for memory recall. Where was I? J is for jump, K is for kilo, L is for library and language, M is for motherboard, N is for nano and next, O is for octal, P is for pi and power, Q is for query, like structured query language, R is for RAM and return, and S through Z I haven't figured out yet. So yes, I released a book incomplete. So what? How do you know that the books that are on the shelf right now weren't incomplete when they were released? Microsoft does that all the time. They release software not complete. But what is complete? 95% done? 80% done? How do you call something complete? I'm going to have a whole series on project management and tricks and tips for both humans and businesses, because there is a psychology to say when we're done. That's my 95-5 rule. There's people with that rule, but that's in a different book. That's in What's My Value Add, in data science. The 95-5 rule is very important. Staying on track is important, not going around the mulberry bush. So I'll try to avoid that. So let's talk about assembly, or assemble. It was assembly on this subject. When it comes to a computer, we already have a video on a computer. There's only so many parts. When you assemble it, how fast can you assemble it? For me, I can assemble a computer and get it to post, power and self-test, in less than 7-8 minutes. Board, or motherboard, or case, power supply, motherboard, processor, just put a heat sink on it, RAM, power cable, video, keyboard, power on. Should post, give you a BIOS screen. That's 7 to 10 minutes. So that's for assemble. Now assembly, I talked about in the previous video. That was one of the languages I used to use a long time ago. In fact, on the Apple II Plus, Apple II Plus, I was doing a lot of graphics stuff in assembly. There was a guy named Ron, he was a senior and I was a junior in high school. And there was Bill and Tony and Vic, Dana. There was a bunch of people. We were always programming weird, cool graphic stuff on the Apple, so. But that was in assembly. B is for binary. Everybody must know binary. Just like when it comes to SQL languages, you must know SQL. But B is for binary. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. It's base 2. Americans, we know the base 10, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 100, and so on and so forth. But binary is very important. C is for CPU. CPU, that's the brain of the computer. That's what's in your head. You have the most powerful CPU in the world, free of charge, right here. I do talk about the CPU in your brain. So why do people get Alzheimer's? I have an idea. I think it's because we got so much stuff in our head. Our body tries to continually index it and catalog it, when technically we should take parts of it and just take it offline and put it into cold storage. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean we forget things? No. A database loses its integrity for whatever reason and it's index and records. It's like Yahoo email or Gmail. If you have 1 million messages in there, is there a way that you know that those companies haven't lost 10 of your messages? There's no way. I mean, there is a way, but I'm exaggerating to make a point. There's no way for you to know. Unless you look at the bottom and you know the count of messages every day that were there, and then you add what was new and do the difference. But how do you know what you've forgotten if you've forgotten it? So your brain, the CPU, processes knowledge all the time, and this Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all that stuff, I think it's a degradation of our brain's ability to catalog everything and keep it indexed, let alone defragged. So will yourself to put away things that you don't need anymore, so your brain is lightened, the database isn't so big. I mean, what's your brain capability? What, 150 petabytes of data in a DNA? I saw that the other day in a science paper. Your DNA is capable of holding, what, 150 petabytes of knowledge? That's massive. And then to recall it nearly instantly. That's amazing. Is that AI? That's just human. So, CPU and also compile. C for CPU and compile in the book. I compile my programs every day, which is pretty cool, and deliver them to the world. So, learn how to compile software. The new one, which is the free Pascal, called Lazarus, I just downloaded that 2 days ago. That is amazing. So check that out. If you're a programmer, check it out. It's been around for a while. D is for delta and drive. Okay, so a delta is like a river in the south or wherever in the world. And from here to there is called a delta. So from A to B is a delta. In math we call it a delta. It's a symbol in the book. So it's one of these books that's got a delta symbol on it. Yeah, right there. So what's delta all about? Measurement of time motion studies. I do that all the time. I do a time motion study. If I can save 1 penny per second per person in a company and justify that in a project proposal, the delta from going from here to there, write that into a one-pager. That's in my book about reporting. I don't care if it's $1 million savings. You invest $500,000. Your ROI is 3 months. After that, the next 6 months, it's just gravy. Your delta in that time motion study will justify your investment as well as your risk. Because on that one pager, if you can't tell me what you're trying to do in 30 seconds or less, it's not worth it. That's the elevator speech. Every CEO knows that. Time is money. Analysis paralysis is bad for leaders. The word no should, when it comes to data and the delta, if you have more no's, it just means you haven't found the right yes. You haven't got to the point where yes is the answer. Now I say no to people all the time. Get used to it. Even to myself. But it's not because of procrastination. It's because I haven't got enough information to say yes. Calculating risk isn't about being a yes man or a no man or a woman or vice versa. It's about using your instincts and using your experience, and that formulates to your wisdom. We need that in our leadership and politics today, and rather than all the drama. It's like watching the Filipino channel, watching our Congress. The drama channel. I mean, I like the Filipino channels for drama that my wife loves watching, but I'm telling you, what happens there is exactly what happens in Congress, and that's bad, so I'll get off that stump. E is for echo. You want to know where your progress is, so put echo statements in your language when you're programming. So you say, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. It's like debug.print or writeline or what have you. So, or see out. Remember see out? Let's skip over. H is for hex. That's crazy. Base 16. I/O, input, output. We're doing that all the time. I'm doing that right now with you. I'm giving you input. The output's going to go to the computer. When you're breathing, that's I/O. J is for jump. You're not supposed to use jump in programming. Go-to statements. For a good reason. That's a hard jump. It's not conditional. It's not anything. It just says just go here. If it's inside a conditional, like an if, then, while, when, that's okay. Kilo. I wished America was like the rest of the world and we were all metric. But kilo, kilobytes, so on and so forth, metrics. L is for library. I love libraries. I've always been in libraries. I always volunteer in libraries. When you program, you have libraries. The .NET stack is a crazy library stack. Why do they deprecate some functions and give them to other things? One of my friends, Ed, he programs. And so for the last 40 years of his programming, certain functions just stop working. They've deprecated them in the library, so you have to go back and load that library before you can get your program to run again. It's like Windows 10 supporting XP programs. It just doesn't happen, or even Windows 3.1. Linux doesn't seem to have that problem, but I've seen it on some Apples. Macintosh. Motherboard. Very important thing. I was just looking at motherboards yesterday, and motherboards, wow, they're so cheap now and so powerful. I just think about the carbon footprint needed to make all of them and manufacture them. N is for nano, P is for pi. Pi is a very powerful mathematical equation, 3.1416 and so on. It's in my book, Data Science. Got a whole page on that. I mean, it's just like, when you look at this, I mean, it's crazy. Just look at that page. That's pi on one page and the alphanumeric equivalent on the other side. Actually, alpha equivalent. Pretty cool. What do you see in there? I see stuff. R is for RAM, Q is for query, power and return, and then the rest. We'll skip. So that's basically how to tame your PC and data. Understanding the A to Z about anything, whether or not you're building a house, working on a roof, taking down a tree, farming, being a doctor. If you can't explain things to people, A to Z, real fast, and say it's okay, you're not an expert in this, but I am, and you can't convince them or let them know that you do know what you're talking about. Some people are, it's not passive aggressive, but it takes them time to process. So being an engineer / technologist and being able to communicate symmetrically, bidirectionally, at the speed of light, that's like a woman. It's amazing. They can do that. They can hear things. They can carry on 11 conversations. That's genetically built into them somehow. Now for men to do that, is it possible? Yeah, I think I'm there, but I don't want to say anything. That's crazy in itself too. So data science. The big picture AI, critical mass achieved. That's a big one for politicians. Critical mass, or any government agency, when it comes down to taking forever to decide something. No politician wants to vote on something unless critical mass has been achieved. That's chapter 3 in Data Science by Andy. I just know that certain things don't get done unless everybody is crying for it, and then a politician says, oh, of course, that makes sense. I should have done that 20 years ago, but it took them 20 years of everybody dying and everybody complaining before they do it. I mean, we got a spaghetti bowl over here, right here in 395 South, North, and I-80, and it's crazy. Why isn't the Nevada Department of Transportation, and I've been here almost 20 years, why isn't it when you're going eastbound, I-80, to southbound, now I-580, which it used to be US 395, why wasn't that always 2 lanes, supered, going south, to where there's no congestion half the day? And accidents, and people dying, and insurance companies. I mean, the insurance companies either are having a heyday with this, or they're hating it. And I talked to NDOT, some of these people, and they said, well, we'll get around that in 20 years. At $5 billion, I mean, seriously, well, it's the right of way. No, it's not. It's just, look at California. They build stuff like crazy all the time. Nevada, DOT, I think they hate to have bridges. Either one, they're not comfortable, or 2, they don't have the right people designing this stuff, but whatever. Critical mass. We need critical mass on most things that just seem to be politically centered. Closer look, patterns, reporting. Reporting's powerful. Consistency, chaos, the buy trigger. Why is it that every time I go to put something in my shopping cart online, if I leave, it says, oh, did you forget something? And then I go to another company and they say, oh, were you over here? That buy trigger that they're forcing you to do is just crazy. Now, there are people who are on QVC and are shopaholics. I mean, I know people who are shopaholics. I mean, 500 pairs of shoes. That's not my wife, but 500 pairs of shoes. It's crazy. Thank God. Purging data. Talk about your brain. I just deleted 300 gig of music that I had collected over the last 20 years. It felt great. I only like a few songs anyhow. I just wish we'd go back to AM radio. Now that's fun to listen to. Switch your dash in your car if you still have AM and listen to the channels that are there besides the weather. Gosh, there's so many things to share on a Friday. You know, it's fun. SQL MS Access. If you don't have SQL Server, use MS Access. You can bring up the SQL window in there real fast. Flat files, very important. File systems, sitemaps. Sitemaps are a little tricky. People don't understand how powerful they are, or if they're not being used anymore. I hate to say it, if I didn't write my own search engine, which I'm working on, sitemaps would be used as long as they aren't bastardized by the powers that be, or ignored. Parsing data, search and replace the future into space. Into space, my friends. 20 years ago, I thought of Stellar.com. You know, we have realtors all over the place. Wait till the moon, if it's not already being tortured for, you know, rights. You know, we've got Antarctica, which nobody seems to want to have their hands on except military conspiracy theorists. I mean, what about the moon, the dark side of the moon? I mean, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Russians. I mean, even Elon Musk and, Sierra Nevada Corp. I mean, those folks over at SNC, they're working on it. I tried to get a job there, but they don't. Either they're too busy or I don't know. So anyhow, that's data science. What's my value add? We'll do this one real quick. This is a good one. I love what's my value add. Spatial orientation, invert your approach, the strategy of approach, analyze keenly, by the numbers, just try something, staying relevant, putting it all together, and the epilogue. So prologue and epilogue. So if you're entering the military and you're mechanically inclined, your ASVAB test, spatial orientation is very important. I'm very good at it. I could draw everything around me on the entire planet on a piece of paper in less than 5 minutes in my head. Not everybody can do that, let alone connect all the dots. Invert your approach. When I went to college, Oregon Tech, great example of what you do when you go to college. Some people don't know what they're doing, so that's why they do general studies. All the requirements to graduate that's outside what you're really graduating for. I think it's stupid. But Oregon Tech had it right. They did a reciprocated or inverted curriculum where you take all your junior and senior classes in your first 2 years and then you take your general studies at the end. Within a month or two, or even 6 months, you know if you're going to do this program or not. I knew what I was going to do, computer systems engineering. Some of the professors were great. They talked about things that weren't even in the curriculum, and I won't name names, but they were very smart. Very smart. One guy in particular, Calvin, Randy, Rich, those guys are crazy. Gosh, the math people, the English people, oh my goodness, the mythology people, Mr. Watson, I think his name was Watson, very amazing guy. So anyhow, enjoy college if you can, but invert your approach. Go for what you know. You know, that's an old saying when I was in the Army. It's about people wanting to fight. You want to fight me? Go for what you know. In college, don't waste your time, but enjoy it. So this is a Friday. Remember, I have a little latitude here. Strategy of approach. The 360, something's in the center. Do a 360 degree approach to it. Very important. Analyze keenly. By the numbers. Just try something. Work on projects. What have you done in the last 6 months to make me want to hire you? That's important. I say that all the time, even to myself. Staying relevant. Be a constant student of life. The last book, The Appellant. My wife's book. Based on a true story, medical. It's based in Washoe County, Nevada. It's a tough one. It took me 1.5 years to write it. She wanted it done sooner. Took me 3 months of sitting on it to understand all the mechanics, and talking to lawyers, judges, the Supreme Courts, everybody, and doing it right to where it is a good story. It's of good public interest. I don't think the world is caught up to what it really says. And even though I tell the powers that be, you need to listen to this. This is a collection of, I mean, the timeline alone, just the timeline. I hate to say this, but I didn't follow my rule of 3, let alone this. But the timeline in the back of the book should be in the front. That tells it all, what the timeline is. But you know what? I'm going to end with that so I can get another cup of coffee. But like, share, subscribe. This is Andy from Mountain Computers. This is a Friday. It's sort of crazy. One guy who I'm just going to do a shout out to is Nico's Wings. He's on YouTube. He's cool. He's got some really cool flight videos. There's another guy, Max, Cirrus Max. Awesome flights in a new plane that just came out. It's a jet that's about $1 million, not like these $10 million, $20 million jets. Cirrus Max is awesome. He has some flights from Aspen to LA and all over the US and stuff. But Nico's down in Florida, down the Keys. And he goes all over the South. He's pretty cool. That's another guy. So Nico's Wings, Cirrus Max, Tech Lead. There's another guy who's a computer guy, but I won't plug him because he's in his kitchen doing computers. And I think the backdrop's hilarious. Just like this. So spice up your life. Enjoy it. Again, this is Andy from Mountain Computers. There's more to come, so stay tuned. Have a great day. Bye.